diagrams, figure transformations, documentation. Noticing that the fascia lines are probably almost more important, or they're definitely more important than the actual muscles in a way. Because the fascia lines don't care about the muscle, they cross over them, and that's how signals are transported. I also believe too it's how the tissue starts to kind of get stuck together, if you will, like in these kind of key choking points. If you think about it, you know, kind of all your muscles for your flexors kind of extend off right off of here, extensors right here. So realizing these key junction points, they're just getting tangled up. All the tissue is becoming stuck together. So signals get kind of mixed up. So I've noticed like down by the wrist, kind of thumb here, as I've loosened the tissue up here, the fascia along my whole arm, especially the tissue in kind of the elbow crook, has started to loosen. I still have kind of like a, if you will, kind of a tight cable that kind of really defies everything. It bypasses over the bicep and into the forearm. You know, it always seemed like it was bicep, but I feel like it's again more of like a fascial line, if you will, and it's probably why a lot of people, their biceps don't kind of flex, and you don't see their muscles naturally moving. Everybody thinks that it needs to be muscle strength or bigger muscles, but what no one's realizing is they're just kind of walking around like a tight mess, and exercise alone is not going to save us or fix everything. I mean, when you're in your kind of teenage 20s, that's the time to really make a big difference. I did it with myself, but then I left out kind of key movement patterns. I wasn't doing everything I should have been, and I realize that now. I was missing like upright rows, getting my traps more involved. You know, I kept thinking, well, everybody uses their traps, so they get overworked anyway, so what do we need to? But I didn't realize that we need to stretch that fascia and that tissue constantly. If we're not stretching the fascia, it kind of like solidifies and hardens, and this is why people are running into issues later on in life and getting you know, maybe elbow pain, shoulder pain. I mean, I can just take one look at somebody and wonder how they're not in pain. But you know, to get through everyday life, they don't really need a lot of movement pattern, and then they're wondering why they have issues, and then everybody's kind of going to the gym thinking they're a mechanic and realizing that they're not. And unfortunately, there's just not enough information, or maybe there's too much information and a lot of misinformation that I know I was given by kind of reputable companies or ideologies, but nobody's really ever taken the time like I have to understand what's really happening with our bodies. And that's the scar tissue is pushing us into positions and movement patterns, and we're getting stuck. You know, my forearms, didn't think I really had an issue with them because I don't have any pain or anything, but I'm realizing my forearms aren't as defined as they were, but it's because the tissue here is so tight. You know, got on these nodules where the extensors and flexors come in and start to meet on the wrist and the bones, and they kind of cross over. The tissue's just getting stuck. You know, and I can feel when I go here, my shoulder wants to elevate. So I'm confident I got a fascial line kind of running all the way up. Because why else would my body want to kind of do that? You know, I'm, I guess, determined, if you will, to set everything straight, I guess, because I know I had changed understandings over the years as things had gone by, because, you know, this person did a study, that person did a study, but what I realized is nobody really did a study on themselves, and it's really hard to understand something unless you do it to yourself, and that's something I learned early on in this business. To understand what was happening to
Peter? Cheeseburger?
yeah.
Right.
My roommate. Good thing it's just a video. Train of thought. Do I actually going to be doing this at my studio, but I wanted to have the information while I had it. Yeah, really the only way to do it is to do it to yourself, to fully understand it. We're thinking these muscles do X, Y, and Z, but if my joint's like this, my muscles can't do what they're supposed to. And that's kind of the biggest eye-opener that I had recently in terms of understanding what was happening to me and happening to everybody else. And, we think if we just move, we're going to become perfect or whatever. And I've known that for years that that's not true. I just didn't fully understand it as well. I started to know I couldn't force people into better mechanics. They'd only get to a certain point and then they'd get stuck. And I've seen it time and time again, and I kind of got tired of seeing it. And really the only thing that has worked is the percussion therapy. There's no way I could have been able to do any of this stuff without that. I tried it without it. And I think that's why nobody's figured it out before, is because nobody has taken the time with a percussion gun to really use it. But it's getting to key junction points, here. This loosened up everything. Same thing here, loosened up everything. Here, everything. And once you kind of start hitting these key junction points, it's kind of anything's the limit. Again, if it's done earlier on in life, I think we'll have much better chance of seeing a population with little to no postural issues. But again, a lot of this stuff happens when we're kids, and then we don't start doing it until we're 20, 30, 40, 50, and it's hard when we're older to make those changes. But I mean, any change is better than none, but I kind of wanted to understand it all.